Okay, so today's tip is going to be on what is a walkthrough and why should you do one. A walkthrough is typically done for the buyer of a property, and we generally recommend that you do it not much more than 1 hour before you go to your closing. And your closing is when you're actually going to sign all your paperwork and the mortgage has been approved and you're with your attorney and you will be the new owner of the home once the closing is completed. So a walkthrough is done prior to that. And again, ideally, if you have, say, an 11 o'clock closing, we might schedule a walkthrough at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And again, it depends on the location of the property. If you're buying a property an hour away from where the closing is, then obviously the feasibility of having it that close in time might not be possible. So why are you doing a walkthrough? Number one, as crazy as it sounds, you want to make sure that the house is still there. Luckily, I've never had this happen, but stories have been told where perhaps the house burned down to the ground the night before and nobody did a walkthrough. They went to the closing, signed the papers, bought the property, and went back to the house, and the house was gone. So there are very practical reasons for doing a walkthrough. Some of the other reasons that you do a walkthrough is to make sure that the seller has done all of the things that they've promised to do prior to conveying the property. That it's broom clean. So, if you have a really wonderful seller, they'll really clean the house so that it's spotless for the next person that moves in. And that's something that I always ask of the owners if I'm representing the seller of a property. You certainly want to leave a house the way that you'd want to come into it as a buyer. Secondly, to make sure that anything that you might have written into the contract to be left for you as the future homeowner is there. Perhaps you asked for them to leave appliances, which is fairly standard but not always assumed. The washer, the dryer, the microwave, the stove, things like that. Part of how we do it in Berkshire County, part of our contract is also that anything that is fixed to the wall is to be left, such as blinds, cabinets that were perhaps nailed to the wall, lighting fixtures, ceiling fans. Those should all be left. So if you walk in at your walkthrough and there are loose wires hanging everywhere because someone thought that they would just go ahead and take all the ceiling fans with them, that's a problem. So that would be something that could cause some trouble at the closing. So again, walk through number one, make sure the property is still there. Number two, make sure that it's broom clean. Number three, to make sure that any items that you specifically asked to have remain on the property are still there. And I just looked at my time. I try to really stay true to that through 3 minutes or less. So next conversation, we might talk about what happens if all of those things are not the way they're supposed to be. What if one of the items is not there? Or maybe the house is a disaster when you do your walkthrough. So that'd be nice. Have a great day and looking forward to talking to you all soon.